The President of the U.S. announced the closure of the airspace of another country outside of the United States. What does that mean? Hi, I'm Morgan, and this is an aviation update. This topic seems to stem from a post made by the U.S. President Donald Trump on Truth Social on November 29th. That was yesterday. And it says, to all airlines, pilots, drug dealers, and human traffickers, please consider the airspace above and surrounding Venezuela to be closed in its entirety. Thank you for your attention to this matter, President Donald J. Trump. I tried to find as many articles as I could on this. This is a Reuters article, and it says Trump says airspace above and around Venezuela should be considered closed. A lot of the sources that I could find on this topic were really lengthy, so I'm really glad this one had a summary. So the U.S. officials were unaware of military plans to enforce airspace closure. And this one right here, Venezuela revokes operating rights for 6 major airlines after the United States Federal Aviation Administration issued a warning. This is the FAA advisory that was put out. It states that operators are advised to exercise caution when operating in the, and I'm going to say this, I don't know if I'm saying it correctly, please help me with my pronunciation in the comments if so, my Acacia flight information region at all altitudes due to worsening security situation and heightened military action in and around Venezuela. It goes on to say that threats could pose a potential risk to aircraft at all altitudes, including during overflight, the arrival and departure phase of flight, and or airports and aircraft on the ground. It then goes on to say to refer to the background information notice for additional information on the threat concerns for U.S. civil aviation operators in the affected airspace. And I tried to get into that link and it did not open for me. However, this FAA notice is directed at U.S. civil aviation operations. So this is not closing the entire airspace of a foreign country. Here's another article that I found by Ben Johnson et al. This cites the same FAA security notice warning for airlines and pilots to avoid Venezuelan airspace, and it cites a worsening security situation, increased military activity, and potential GPS interference at risk on flights. This also cites that the move to close the airspace goes further than the FAA notice that was issued. I was trying to get some of the legal backing behind the president of one country make an announcement that others should consider the airspace of a second country that that person does not govern to be closed. However, it was very hard to find anything that didn't have any kind of bias or political commentary to it. But according to all of it, Trump does not have the authority to close the airspace of Venezuela or around Venezuela, nor any country not his own. Yet the comments have already shifted on how commercial airlines have interacted with Venezuela. I will try to stay up to date on this situation, and I will make another post if I find anything additional. I am having a hard time finding any of the legal background for some of this that does not have any type of political commentary to it, which I do not welcome for an aviation safety page. The general understanding that I have is that the president of another country announcing that the airspace in and above and around another country has no legal authority. However, that doesn't mean that it would be safe. So I would assume that there are precautions being taken to limit the number of disasters that could happen as a result of continuing to fly in the airspace. If anyone has any past occurrences similar to this where the president of one country announced airspace closure in and around another country, and maybe some of the events that happened after and how that was handled, I would love to see them. So if you have those, either send me a message with it or post it as a comment below.